Hi there, and welcome to another episode of our series over a cuppa. Yay! So, today I wanted to touch base with you on the topic of reflective writing. So, as many of you know, I have graded your first reflective writing assignments, and to much triumph, overwhelmingly, you guys did a great job, and I'm very pleased to see how articulate and determined many of you are. And as this is an ongoing sort of assignment, I thought it prudent to maybe give you a bit of feedback on your performance on reflexive writing assignment number 1, and to clear up a little bit of confusion about the question on for assignment number 2. I must apologize. I wrote it while I've been extremely sleep deprived, and sadly I don't even have a very good story as to why I didn't party with rock stars. I didn't even really leave the house. I've just been having a lot of trouble staying asleep. So I apologize if it's a bit obtuse, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. So for the first assignments, again, I was really pleased to see how seriously you took the assignment and how much effort and thoughtfulness you did put in. To touch base on some of the general trends and themes that I thought that you might want a little bit of feedback on, I think the number one thing, if I were to give you some advice, is to be very mindful of your terms and how you're using your terms. Because I've noticed very honest errors, but they are errors nonetheless in using the terminology. So one of the first things that I saw was a mix-up between the word amoral and immoral. And these two things are definitely not the same. Amorality is essentially where a person has no moral sentiment whatsoever. They are psychopathic or sociopathic, or like, as we read about Phineas Gage, who had the rod through his head. He's just unable to have any moral feeling whatsoever. If something or someone is immoral, that means that they have the capability to be moral, but lack the wherewithal, lack the moral ability to do so. Or so they're making the wrong choices. So things that are immoral, we would call them bad, wrong. So you can start to see the difference. Again, amorality, there's no moral sense. Immorality, there is a moral sense, just choosing the wrong or bad things to do. So that's the first thing. The second thing is something that I know that you come by it honestly, because I've made the same errors when I was an undergrad as well, is mixing or thinking that law and morality are connected in some way. It is, for the most part, a happy coincidence that our moral rules coincide with our legal rules. So I know many of you when you were talking about rape and talking about sort of its immorality, a lot of you drew on the fact that there's codified laws against the act of rape. And you're certainly not wrong to do so, but I do want you to be sensitive to the fact that morality and law are actually two conceptually distinct ideas, and it is definitely possible to have laws that are immoral. Some of the famous examples are, of course, the sorts of laws and legislation under the Nazi Party rule in Germany during leading up to the Second World War. So these laws we do consider, and it was considered at the time, very immoral to basically steal away the livelihoods and the ability to live from citizenry. So that's one example of how you can have an immoral law. Another thing, and because I'm a bit of a petty woman, I will admit, I didn't take marks away from this. I just merely pointed out on your papers when you did this, the term state of affair is actually states of affairs. So add an S to the end of affairs. And the other thing that I noticed was just a misuse of the term absolute or absolutism. I think spell check changed some of your terminology. So you had absolution a lot, which is a very different thing. To seek absolution is basically to seek permission to not be punished, morally speaking, for an act. So you would go to a priest or a preacher if you were seeking absolution from something that you've done. So there's some of the trends that I've noticed. So the takeaway is to just be mindful about your use of terminology. And always check with the textbook or even check online to see how our major terms are being used, and it should be a bit more of a help for you. All right, so that's it about Reflection 1. Reflection 2, I've received a few emails asking for some clarification. If I didn't know any better, they would all be called WTF question mark. Again, I'm sorry, lack of sleep makes me do some pretty obtuse things. So here's what I want you to do. What I'm asking you to do is two things in this reflection. The first thing is to essentially trace and place care in the context of all of the theories we've learned so far in our course. So that's the ontological, the utilitarian, we talked about virtue ethics, we talked about justice, so via Rawls and Nozick. So what I want you to do in this first section is basically trace and tell me where care is coming in and how it relates to the other theories. The second part of it is a little bit more imaginative, and I'm asking you to think of other areas in which care can apply to. And so these can be anything that you can think of. It can be environmentalism, animal rights, it could be policing, education, immigration. So use your imagination to try to figure out where care can be used and what's its extent. Often care, as an ethical theory, tends to stick close to either feminist theories or theories in biomedical ethics. So I do want you to maybe step out and see where else care can apply to. So what I've done, in addition to this video, which isn't so quick anymore, sorry, what I've done is posted a new set of instructions that just give you a bit more detail and clarify what I want you to do. So again, I'm so sorry to have been so clouded and muddy in my description. Thank you to those who wrote me and asked for clarification. Of course, I'm always happy to give it. You just let me know what you need, and I'm here to help. All right, so that's all for now, and hopefully I'll hear from you soon, and I look forward to reading your second reflection paper. So, hot coffee bottoms up. Bye for now, everyone.